Hello everyone, we are back with the 7th series. We interviewed for you surf legend, world champion, surf photographers, shapers, and many more. We hope you like the series and please stay tuned for more amazing news. Mahalo. Hello everyone and welcome to the 9th episode of the 7th series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Hawaii, Rochelle Ballard. We discuss with her about surfing, World Championship Tour, yoga, and much more. Hi Rochelle, welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Where am I today? I'm on Kauai. It's the town that I grew up in. Is where I live now. I have a home and my business and everything. So it's awesome.
Fantastic. No better place than home, right? So it's
yeah, totally. I live on the south side in Poipu, up above Poipu. So yeah, I love it. Kind of central location on the island. Fantastic. The sunny side is what we call it.
Okay. I like that. So today we're going to talk about so many things, but the first question is the same for everybody. In your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
To have fun. And I think that's the most important thing is to tune in to the moment and enjoy yourself with gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude is so important, right? No matter how is the session, if it's like a good one, a super, or like a very bad one, it's the gratitude of being there in that moment and being connected with the ocean, I guess, right?
Yeah. And then like from there, you could octopus off from those and branches, because then you are thinking about safety and you're thinking about like your technique and like observing other people out in the lineup and making sure that you're in a good flow and you're prepared and all that stuff. But if you're just focusing on one thing like safety first and that's all you're focusing on, then you're going to be like that guy in the lineup that's always blowing the whistle, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're just always focusing on technique or just getting the best ride or whatever it is. It's like, so yeah, gratitude and having fun first and everything else kind of categorize under that.
Exactly. In your professional career, you had always fun or not? Or it was like a mix of competition and fun moments? How did it work?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a big melting pot of many things that culminated my surfing experience through my life, the learning curves and dealing with different adversities as a female surfer and traveling the world and being a pioneer and a trailblazer. But there was also a lot of amazing fun moments throughout it. And I know that when I was having the most fun competing, that's when I was doing the best.
Okay.
So that was key. Yeah.
Makes sense, it's an additional help, if you have fun and you can compete, you can do better. It actually applies also to life in general, right? If you maintain a positive spirit, then kind of in a sense of karma, good things come, right?
For sure. Like it's better to look at life with like, oh, I have this challenge, then I have a problem. Like the way you say things also is part of the way that you experience it. Yeah. So if you're looking at something like it's a challenge, then you know that you can face that challenge. You can overcome it. If you have a problem, sometimes like there's not a solution, right? Yeah. So, or it's a heavier kind of a feeling. Like it's looking at the glass half empty rather than half full.
Exactly. It's a way of approaching life. It's helpful
to have all those ingredients of success, I feel like, in anything in life. Yeah. Just that gratitude, positive spirit, and like being lighter about things that makes a difference. And enjoying what you do when you do it and whatever you're doing instead of wishing you were somewhere else.
So important, right? And then maybe it's also, actually it's a question that I wanted to do towards the end, but I'll do it at the beginning. Is maybe one of the reasons why you created yoga and surf retreat courses is you were able to match the two. I think the philosophy is quite similar, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely a parallel. And, Jerry Lopez put it in that simple way years ago, just expressing, the most important experience of surfing is to be present, to experience the present moment. And that really is where you find your best flow. So that's also the concept and idea of yoga, is when you get into your breath and you release all of the obstacles that are distracting you from being in the moment, and you tune into your experience in the now, then you're able to have your best performance, your best, the best time, because you're not you're not diluted in your thought process or in your being, in your physicality, and you're able to move as one unit within your body and your environment and all things going around you. So it's like you're not just like, well, I was having this amazing experience in the barrel and I didn't know that you're like right there and I ran you over. It's like, well, if you're paying attention to other things besides just yourself. So that's like the classic thing in yoga, yeah, is that we the daily process and experience of finding unity and union within yourself and your body and your own mind and movement, but also the things that are in your environment around you, to harmonize with them. And that's the surfing experience, is to find that harmony, to where if you're surfing, the heaviest wave or the most critical, drop or experience, that you can like flow with it and be light and find that like that place that like you can be one with the wave. Yeah.
Sadly. So let's talk surfing to yoga. Are you happy about this special project for you that is the daily job, I guess, now?
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's great. Like I met so many, traveling the world, it was always that, experiencing different culture and meeting new people, surfing different waves. It wasn't just about competing. And so now that I'm on Kauai more than any and not traveling as much, which I like right now because I traveled for so long, I still get to meet all these different people around the world from different places. And I can reflect on different experiences that I've had that I get to share with them, and it reminds me or what they come from. And it's relatable and it's fun. It's nice to meet people. And I love what I do. Like today, I took out one of a good friend of mine, but like she's a pro snowboarder. She's from Norway. Kirsty, like it's so bad. Or a name thing. Kirsty Bosch or something. So anyways, she'd be like, really? You just like butchered my name. But like she was in the Olympics and she's like this amazing snowboarder, and she's now retired from it. And she's a life coach and does all these other cool things. But I've been teaching her how to surf for the last like couple of weeks, and like she's done it throughout in different ways, but like to really like pull in, some technique that somebody like her can be like catch on so fast, and it's really fun to apply. And then like, at the end of the week, I have a lady coming in for a retreat that I'm going to have a completely different experience of like how to relate to her and translate that message of how she can improve in her surfing, and what is that communication, and what does she need, and to make her experience better and, more, and not just enjoyable, but like better technique and more awareness in the ocean, better understanding of her body and her board, her equipment, all that stuff. And then doing yoga with people, finding out what makes their body like feel better, getting them out of pain, making them more dynamic, helping them learn how to do that for themselves, and teaching them how to be their own best healer, really. So I love it. It's really fun.
It's enriching for them, but it's also enriching for you, right?
Totally. And like, during holidays and stuff and like summertime, like tons of families and teaching kids how to surf, and, like from like little mini 4 or 5 year olds all the way to like the whole family, like the older kids and the parents and sometimes even the grandparents. So
it's cool.
Handful, but it's fun,
It's cool. Since we're talking about meeting people, like in your life, in your career, as well as a competitive surfer, you met a lot of surfers. Was there a meeting that was particularly meaningful for you?
Gosh, I have so many. It's like, I'm like, okay, it's like I can't really pick one per se, but I mean, I'll tell you what, like in within categories, like being on the tour with the surfers that we traveled with for so many years, it's a family. You know, we're all like a family, and it's like, you know, like how families are, like they get in like little, you know, tips and bickery things, and certain people don't get along, and some people get along a lot better, you know, and you find your travel partners, and then you got to take a break from them, and like that whole thing. And so, you know, like Megan and Lisa and Serena Brooke, like there was, you know, a few surfers that I was really like, we had such a great time surfing together and traveling together, and laughing and having so much fun. And then like, you know, in the beginning of it all, Sunny Garcia and like Kaipo Hakias, like those guys, you know, and all the Hawaiians that we were traveling with, those guys were like my bodyguards on the tour. Like when I would go to Brazil, I'm like, I'm staying with you guys, and I'm only going to the beach and you go to the beach, coming back and going to dinner and everything. And, you know, we all had such a good time together. And I would also like stay with really unique, interesting people that I would meet along the road that didn't even surf, that like wanted to just house us in the beginning when, you know, there wasn't as much opportunity of like staying in a nice hotel or like the beach vacation rental accommodations and stuff like that. I do, you know, it's funny, but I do remember this one particular situation, and it wasn't even a surfer. I was in France, and I was, you know, it's a challenge when you're like, you go from one country to the next, and you're there for like 1 to 3 weeks, and then you leave, and you're like just starting to get a little bit of the language in the feel, and then you leave, and you go from like Europe to Japan or Brazil, and you're like, gosh, it's so different. So it's really challenging to like learn a language fully, unless you already were studied in it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like with French, like finally feeling like I could communicate a little bit with somebody. And I remember walking on the beach in Anglet, and this old fisherman was like on the beach, and he wanted to talk to me because you could tell he was always around surfers and the whole experience of, you know, the ocean. And we had this really unique conversation because he couldn't speak any English. He could only speak French. And I was speaking a little bit of really bad French, I'm sure, and a little bit of broken English through it. But we understood each other, and we had this really like fun conversation. And it was like, we were like, yeah, cool. Nice to meet you, you know?
Amazing.
So yeah, you know, and just meeting like kids that would see surfing and women surfing for the first time, like in Samoa and, you know, in Africa and like just different places around in Indonesia. Like we were like Serena, Keala, Megan, like there was a few of us, Kate, there was a few of us that were on the boat. And it was the first boat trip that women had really taken out to Indonesia. And like everybody, when we get out of we go on the surf, like they all come out in the little canoes and like come watch us. And they'd be like, oh, there's women out there, you know, and that was a really cool experience for them. And then I remember going on the beach and, you know, going into the village and all the kids would just be running and like all happy to see us and like, you know, interested because they're like, wow, you guys are in bikinis. And we're like, oh, we're in bikinis, you know. So certain places, right? Like even traveling to the Maldives and passing through Sri Lanka and like places where they're not as used to it. And nowadays I feel like it's more adaptable and a little bit more, especially with all the social media and TV, and they see it everywhere. But I think when in the late 90s and early 2000s, when we were first traveling like that, it was really a new experience for people to see female surfers in these remote places where there was just villages, you know, and they didn't have internet. They didn't have phones. They didn't have iPhones and computers yet. So that's probably more the unique experiences, I feel.
It starts with that, you know, you need somebody that inspires you to look after, and then, you know, you try and you experience, and maybe you become like a new surf professional. So those years, as difficult they were so important to create a new generation, isn't it?
Totally. And that brings to mind like a lady that was there. I went to this Champion of Champions event that the Four Seasons and Tropic Surf through on, and there was a lady that came out there, and she was the first Indian woman that lived in Sri Lanka, and she would go out and go on the boats and like go surf in the Maldives, and she was the very first woman, and she started off surfing with full kind of wardrobe clothes, and like she had to really work her way into getting to a conservative swimsuit, surfsuit, bikini. And she took a lot of chances, and she had to fight a lot of resistance to it. And now like she's definitely like charging and surfing really well and breaking down some serious barriers in that region for women. And it was really cool to meet her when she was first really starting off a few years ago. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the cultural transformation that women surfing had in the recent years, because we are talking about early 2000s, so you were not that far.
I know. Well, right. When I don't know what your age is, but it's like time just flies. It's like, wait a second. Was I really? I retired. I always say graduated. I retired off the tour in 2007, and it's like 2022, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
3 years ago, Yeah, and like the whole generation is about to go into retirement.
Oh my God!
Like all the girls that did my surf camp are now the vets on tour, and they're starting to retire.
Yeah.
So wild how time flies like that. And I think from my perspective also, I think a lot of surfers are already more youthful as it is because the way we live our lives. But I don't feel a lot older. Like sometimes, some days I do. But I'm like, oh yeah, that's for real. But, taking care of yourself, feeling good.
Yeah.
Yes, keeping active, surfing. Continuing to surf and eating healthy and doing the right exercises and workout and yoga and everything. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of it definitely is attitude. Youth a lot of times is in your mind. Like I can look at it like an older person that's like in their 80s even, let's say, and you can see this like kind of really like sparkle in their eyes and the smile and this like they still have like a little bit of a giddy up in their step, and they can dance and they're like ready to go have a good time, and and that's like to me is youth. You could look at somebody that's like in their 30s and they're just like living this mundane, really like like heavier mindset and lifestyle, and they're getting old fast.
Yeah,
they're not actually living in their best life, in their the vitality of their mind and their body and their being, and being, present and being really taking advantage of life, like living your best life, right? Yeah, I just say happiness is key. Whatever you're doing, it's about being happy. Even if it is a desk job, even if it is a 9 to 5, it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. It's the quality of what you're doing if you're enjoying yourself.
Exactly. No, it's super important because that opens up also a lot of other speech about being content or being happy, being satisfied or being excited. But I think it's if it's we have that light inside us, it never stops. With the age or whatever happens in our life. If we can find that energy inside us and to project outside, then people feel it. It goes back. We go back to the old fisherman that you met on the beach in Anglais. And I guess he had that light and was able to connect with you because of that energy, right? It's something more that. But a lot of us, unfortunately, are wasting that. But what to do? We're all different, and we cannot but we hope people understand. Let's put this way. And we are not that old, even if 2000 looks far. Is
right?
sure. Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
I feel like having some sort of routine in the morning and some sort of ritual before going to bed at night can be really helpful for that. Like, and saying that there's one solution and one formula for everybody doesn't make sense. Like, you got to find what works for you. I mean, yes, there's this general idea of wellness and clearing the mind and really being in your present body, that like doing some good deep breathing and breath work is very helpful to calm and slow the mind down and get some good oxygen into the body and release the CO2. For sure, there's science behind that. Yeah. And exercise and good rest and drinking a lot of water, all those things. But I also feel like for some people, it's helpful to have like some sort of simple 20-minute routine of something in the morning and something at night, even if it's like reading before you go to bed, to like just get that older information out, or walking outside and like, getting your feet in the earth and looking at the stars and taking some deep breaths. So finding what works is really helpful. Yeah. And sometimes it's having a really consistent ritual routine. And sometimes it's just having like ones that you can pull from, like, well, tonight, like a few pages in this book that like helps to calm my mind. And like, I know for me, I love to read something that I'm drawn to that doesn't make me think too hard about like, my own behavior in life and how I can improve it, but something that's self-reflective and inspiring. Yeah. That I can like, when I go to sleep, those are my last thoughts. And then maybe I'll like process better when I'm sleeping at night rather than my to-do list for the next day, or like the whole week of work ahead, or, some crazy movie that I watched, before I went to bed that's like all drama or something like that.
Yeah. I see what's
like, yeah, because then you're like, wow, I had this crazy dream. So like, what were you thinking before you went to bed? So yes. It helps to kind of clear that, or like doing some meditation or, praying, like praying is a great process of expressing gratitude and giving thanks, right? And the things that can really like make you think about, your self-reflection and then others. And yeah, they're more of things that bring in aloha, that bring in love and forgiveness and acceptance and visualization. So
the spirit of aloha is the conception of the spirit of aloha. Of aloha is it's very, very interesting. It's I actually discover it more with this podcast and talking with the old. I mean, they will kill me saying that, the old Hawaiian surfers. It's aloha is really like a way of living, and it's so impactful. I think it should be more spread.
Very much so. It's it's really like making sure that within yourself that like being in your truth, speaking your truth, being pono, being good with other people. And if you're not, doing a ho'oponopono, like asking forgiveness, going through the process of addressing issues that are like maybe blocking energy, and I think that a lot of it too, more than anything in this world, is like, it seems like it's almost easier for a human behavior to forgive and to care for others than it is for ourselves. Like it's a funny thing. Sometimes, I mean, sure, there's people like, I'll never forgive that person. I'll hold on to that grudge forever. But, there's, but like in the deeper part of that, usually it's a reflection of how you feel about yourself. Like as humans, I'm talking to myself as I say that, not like trying to point a finger, but it's like processing forgiveness for yourself and saying, hey, I need to be okay with me. And who I am, instead of constantly trying to maybe prove myself, or like looking at like, why am I being so impatient or upset right now, or like whatever it is. It's like, oh, maybe you're not settled within this area of your life, So yeah. And so yeah, I think that, aloha, and then it's also like really just harmonizing with yourself and others in nature and your experiences that you're going through, and not seeing them as like, oh, this is bad and this is good. It's like they all like kind of somehow come together and work together. So accepting.
Well,
And
we should be less judgmental, right? And
accepting the process, being patient, being kind, being understanding, and it's a daily process, and we all go through, right?
We go back to living the moment, and Jerry Lopez, as you were saying at the beginning, it's like if we live the moment, then everything else has a different importance, huh? Or relevance.
Yeah, and then all that stuff reflects out in the ocean, and then we're respecting people and observing and like trying to be more aware of what's happening in the lineup instead of like going out there and just being like me.
And it starts from us. You are saying that rightfully, if we are in a positive way, in a positive state, in a state of acceptance, in a state of blessing, maybe, then we are able to project that to the people around us. And so, yeah, it starts with us. So, yeah, very important, I guess. Let's talk. We start. I had totally a different agenda at the beginning, but I really like our conversation. So it's amazing. Anyway, let's go back to surfing for a while, and let's talk about women surfing. Actually, you were referring to that at the beginning. In your opinion, what is next to achieve in women surfing? I mean, a lot has been achieved, but what is next in your opinion?
Barrel riding. I think that, it's really like, it's been on the table for, I think since, I really like got super into it, surfing pipe and backdoor and all the doors opening it in Fiji at Tavarua and Chopo and Keala and, the girls that have followed us, that path. Carissa and Bethany and Coco and Malia. I mean, I keep going. Like, there's so many great surfers now towing and surfing so incredible. Moana, obviously, and I really feel like it's just now it's at that time where it's like, okay, let's do this already, and it's stepping up and rising to that occasion, and it's probably this, big wave surfing and barrel riding, critical barrel riding is a whole different realm when you're paddling in and you're like literally like elevator dropping into the barrel than like getting whipped into a big barrel on a wave. Even though that's scary and a lot to deal with because of the consequences, there's a way deeper technique to taking an elevator drop and grabbing your rail or knifing it and setting your rail and then holding that line and like being able to maneuver and weave your way out of it. And that's probably been one of the most challenging, scary things, technical wise and mind wise, and even physicality wise with women surfing over time.
Yeah, of course.
And, here we are, with the waiting period of Chopo, right? So,
yes, exactly.
Interesting too. And I love it. I'm like all excited about it. And I always, when it gets to these moments at like Pipe and Chopo and Tavarua and all that, I like try to put up a post of like something I did or like, encourage the women that are there to be like, you can do it. You got this. You guys are so good. You have great technique. You're, don't be so afraid, even though you want to use some of that fear and reverence to keep you safe and be mindful of like whether you're going to make the drop or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's punishing sometimes, like being it's just period. Yeah, like not even sometimes, like a lot of times being a female charger because we are definitely more fragile than men. It's definitely more fragile. Our skin is not as tough. Our bones and our muscles and just everything about it. Like guys are just stronger. So there's that. that feeds into it when you're a female. Like I have countless like experiences of like just getting smoked. surfing pipe and backdoor and chopo and Tauru and like all of it, and then the amazing experiences, but there's definitely more smoked experiences than like glory moments. Broken boards, get dragged across the reef, like hit your heads, all this stuff, almost drowning. You're just like, oh my God, am I really doing this? Why am I doing this?
It's
like you get like shit out of a barrel and it's like, that's why I'm doing this. Yeah.
It's like in today's world where everybody's a surfer in Instagram. There are only good waves, and nice barrels and perfect tents and, and all the rest, the wipeout, the bad experiences do not exist, So it looks like, everybody can be like a champion surfer in Instagram, at least for a few seconds.
Well, and there's so much more filming going on because like when I was out there, like I'd get waves missed all the time. I'd be like, really, you missed it? Like that took me so long to get that shot.
Exactly. But
it's just coverage is everywhere. It's crazy, but it's good. It needs that. It deserves that because surfing for a long time has been like such a successful sport for the fact that like we made it a sport. Because it's really more of a lifestyle and it's really more of like this beautiful art form practiced in the ocean. And it's challenging to make it a viable sport that is watched by, a lot of people that don't surf because only a surfer knows the feeling, really.
Totally.
That's the challenge of it.
But that's the what with the Olympics, they wanted to also to reach. If talk about with Fernando Aguirre, for instance, is the fact that he didn't want to project surf just as a sport, but surf as sport community culture. And I think people need to appreciate the kind of 360 this sport,
100%.
just than to see the moment, the rise moment. It's more
the jersey and the like.
Exactly, exactly.
Whatever. For sure. I mean, I think it's always been that anyway. Like if you look at the surf industry, that's how they made it. Like,
exactly.
So viable because it's about the lifestyle. Look at the Temple of Surf behind you. It's like, it's artwork. It's fun. It's like, it's the classic frothing surfer,
Exactly.
So, and that's really like
it's part of surf culture. What we were saying in general, there's a lot to express and a lot to discover.
Exactly, and that's like when I was on this the board. When it was called the ASP before WSL took it over. It was that was it. We were like, okay, this isn't working. We're surfing these crappy waves. It's super flat. Like everything looks like gray. This whole coverage of whatever you guys are doing sucks. We need to step it up and they need to like see who we really are as our personalities or characters, get into the lifestyle, get into like the, not the drama, but like the experience of what we go through, right? Of the ups and downs, and then the behind the scenes of like what it is as a surfer, how we travel, how we live, the whole experience instead of just like in the jersey, because the jersey can be really amazing, but for the most part, it can be pretty boring, unless it's like there's these fantastic moments that happen.
Yeah.
And so it is. It's like it's creating that whole package and the experience that people. That's what they really want to see.
Exactly. Yeah, and then what they will consume in a certain way. But if that can channel and attract more people, more women to surf, also in the places where today surf, you were talking about in India, surfing in India is still, okay, a lot of evolution has been done, but it's still something that is not pushed by the society. Women are not pushed by the society to surf, or maybe in China. So at the end, it's very important to use the sport to break the boundaries that have been created. So, and a lot have been broken already, and more will be will have to be attacked, if you want to say, in a positive way, to make the change, happen.
Totally.
In your
Totally. And it's
career,
like, if you think about it, like so if I don't know, say if I'm like, I go to turn on TV on the, like, cause we get the surf channel and I can watch the WSL and I'm like at home and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a moment. Like, this is great. If I don't know any of those characters, I'm like, unless it's going to be this amazing barrel or amazing wave or amazing tricks or amazing something, I'm going to lose interest really fast. And so if we put ourselves in the person that doesn't know any surfers or anything about surfing, you got to get them to know the person. And then they're going to want to be like, I want to see how Steph Gilmore does in this heat because I really dig her personality.
Exactly.
It's like that. Like, I remember, like, when I was on the tour and we are like super psyched on watching basketball, and the Lakers and Jordan and like, all there's certain personality types that you're drawn to. And it's like, I'm not as interested in basketball right now because I don't know those personalities. If I actually like got to know the personality, then I'm going to be more into the game. I think it goes across the board with other sports too.
Yeah, definitely it helps. It helps focusing and
like Shaq, he was so fun.
But definitely, still is so fun. So, what was the most important moment of your competitive career as a professional?
The most important moment was definitely when I got the 210s at Burley Head. I can't remember if it was 97 or 98. I think it was 97, but because it was this big breakthrough, and it was a breakthrough in my surfing career. It was a breakthrough in my competitive pattern of losing and kind of falling, like being this underdog, but not actually the one to beat or on top, being on top. And then it was also a big experience and breakthrough because it was when like the guys like Kelly Slater and a few of the guys like stayed in the grandstand when we were out there surfing and didn't leave to watch us because it was exciting. And they were cheering and like hooting and like clapping. And it was a huge moment in women's surfing. That was a big turning point as well, because it was finally that moment where it was like, oh, they can surf, they can get barreled. And, that was in the semis. And then in the final, like, it was Lisa and I beat her, which was great for me. But like, she laid out this big turn and it was just like, it was entertaining and we were ripping and it was fun. And we were having fun together. We weren't being all aggressive and aggro and holding each other off of waves. We were just surfing, It was great. It was like matching each other up. And that was a big turning point, I feel like, in my career and for women's surfing.
Fantastic. So I have so many questions, but I don't want to steal a lot of your time. So I go with the final questions that I ask everybody on this show. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay?
Okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
Oh, it's definitely Channel Islands. It's 5'5". Do you need the dimensions and model and everything?
No, I don't. I don't. Some of the guests they're saying, that board that I used that time when I was surfing was amazing. But it's just, if it's the Channel Island, normal Channel Island surfboard, is okay, no problem.
Yeah,
it's the first thing that comes up to your mind at the end. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like,
it's
probably more recent experiences, and like I'm really loving my board. I could go back to a period, I guess.
Your favorite shaper?
Al Merrick, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I got to be in the shaping room with him. That was amazing.
Oh, wow.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
He was super cool. He taught me more about like boards and fins and the design and everything than anybody ever did in that culminating moment, because he was such a good teacher and he's so talented and good at what he does and did, Amazing.
And personal question, your favorite song?
That's so funny. So it's whatever comes to mind, right? So
Yeah, of course.
Outcast. There's that one song, "Shake It Like a Polaroid."
Yeah, I guess, no?
Yeah. And it's because of the experience that I had with it, like surfing against Sofia Milanovic out at Cloudbreak.
Okay.
And we were going into the final, and the waves were firing. It was so fun. We were in the best time. And the guys on the big ferry, all the Fijians, right when they said, like ice cold, they dumped a bucket of ice onto the dinghy that we're on, and just was like the song, and we were dancing, and everybody, it was so much fun. So it's like a classic song for memory.
Okay, that's right. Your favorite surf spot?
It would definitely be HT's in the Mentawais.
Okay. Favorite woman surfer?
Gosh, it's a split between Steph and Carissa.
Okay.
I like them both for different reasons. They're both amazing.
It's a good split, so we like that. And the last question is a little bit unusual, has nothing to do with the surf or surfing, surfers, whatever. I would like to know your best relationship advice.
It would be to listen to your partner and take time to process what they're asking so that you actually hear them instead of just want to be in your mindset and space.
Yeah.
Because it takes two to tango.
Yeah, exactly. It does.
And we come from different love languages, different ways of growing up, and everybody has different shifts in their life in different moments. So
it's very important
to hear your partner.
Difference between listening and hearing, and it's huge. Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. So thank you for being with me on the show today, and I look forward to talk to you very soon. You've been very kind.
Oh yeah, you too. Thank you. That's fun.
You. See you soon. Okay. Ciao. Hello. Bye. Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!